In this chapter, we're going to learn about the following 10 keywords: despot, gaudy, renovate, hoax, remnant, dynasty, adjacent, parasite, farce, and pedestrian. Let's start with the first keyword, despot. Now we look at the picture and we can see a person on the ladder with the megaphone and those three people down there listening to that man. And obviously this man is the boss or something, but how do you think they're taking his management or his rule? Or is he trying to be a good boss, a good manager, or is he a despot? But what does despot mean? Let's find out. Now, despot is a countable noun. A despot is a ruler or other person who has a lot of power and who uses it unfairly or cruelly. And synonyms for despot are the words tyrant, dictator, totalitarian, or big brother, just like in Orwell's 1984. So the next time you remember this picture of that man on the ladder, remember the word despot and what it means. And now for the next keyword, gaudy. Now you look at the picture and you can see all the textiles, the fabric, the colors are really beautiful and different. They're not the same, they're vibrant. We have a variety of colors here. But how does that relate to the word gaudy? Is this the meaning of gaudy? Let's find out. Now, gaudy is an adjective. If something is gaudy, it is very brightly colored and showy. But make no mistake, we use this word not to show that we like something. We use this word to show our disapproval. It's a negative word. For example, her gaudy orange and purple floral hat. That doesn't mean that we like it. Actually, we don't. And synonyms for gaudy are the words garish, bright, glaring, and vulgar. So the next time you remember the picture of the fabric with all those colors, remember the word gaudy and what it means. And now for the next keyword, renovate. Now you look at this picture and you can see two men are working inside a house. They're fixing things, they're installing things on the wall. They're actually working on the interior of the house. Maybe they're renovating the house, but what does renovate mean? Let's find out. Now, renovate is a verb. If someone renovates an old building, they repair and improve it and get it back into good condition. For example, the couple spent thousands renovating the house, repairing and improving the house. And synonyms for renovate are the words restore, repair, refurbish, and do up, which is an informal word. We use renovation as a noun. For example, we say a property which will need extensive renovation. And synonyms for renovation are the words restoration, repair, and overhaul. So the next time you remember this picture of these two men working inside the house, remember the word renovate and what it means. And now for the next keyword, hoax. Now you look at the picture and this is a kind of a magician who's going to do a card trick or something. The thing is that what he's doing using magic is fine and usually people like watching magic. But if we think about it in a way that this man is doing this by tricking you in a way, maybe this way we could relate it more to the word hoax. Not saying that I don't like magic. I love magic. I'm just trying to bring this picture closer to the word we have here. So what is the meaning of hoax? Let's find out. A hoax is a countable noun. A hoax is a trick in which someone tells people a lie, for example, that there is a bomb somewhere when there is not, or that a picture is genuine when it is not. For example, a series of bomb hoaxes has disrupted Christmas shopping in the city center. And synonyms for hoax are the words trick, joke, fraud, and con. So the next time you remember the picture of this magician, remember the word hoax and what it means. And now for the next keyword, remnant. Now you look at this picture and you can obviously tell that this is a tank, but it is not an actual tank. It is what's left of this tank. Obviously it was destroyed at some point and what we have is what's left of it. So could that mean the remnant of it? Is remnant related to the idea of what's left of something? Let's find out. Now remnant is a countable noun. The remnants of something are small parts of it that are left over when the main part has disappeared or been destroyed. For example, after 24 hours of fighting, the remnants of the force were fleeing. what's left of it. And synonyms for remnant are the words remainder, remains, trace, and fragment. And remnant can also be used in a different context. A remnant is a small piece of cloth that is left over when most of the cloth has been sold. So shops usually sell remnants cheaply. So the next time you remember the picture of this tank, or what's left of the tank, remember the word remnant and what it means. And now for the next keyword, dynasty. Now you look at the picture, now obviously it comes from Egypt. We have hieroglyphics, we have all those beautiful paintings of maybe kings and gods of Egypt, and we wonder, how does that relate to the word dynasty? Does it have to do with Egypt itself, with the hieroglyphics on the wall, or with kings or gods? Let's find out. A dynasty is a countable noun. A dynasty is a series of rulers of a country who all belong to the same family. For example, we say the Seljuk dynasty of Syria was founded in 1094, and synonyms for dynasty are the words empire, house, rule, or regime. And dynasty can be used in a different context as well. A dynasty is a period of time during which a country is ruled by members of the same family. For example, we say carvings dating back to the Ming dynasty, which was a very famous family that ruled in China. And dynasty does not only belong to a race of kings and queens. A dynasty is a family which has members from 2 or more generations who are important in a particular field of activity, for example, in business or politics, like when we say the Kennedy dynasty. So the next time you remember this picture of hieroglyphics, kings and gods of Egypt, remember the word dynasty and what it means. And now for the next keyword, adjacent. Now you look at this picture and you can see all these doors. And we might think that one door is special and that is the meaning of the word adjacent, but I will have to disappoint you this time. It is not. Well, the idea that we have here that all these doors are set next to each other, and that is related to the word adjacent. Let's find out. Adjacent is an adjective. If one thing is adjacent to another, the two things are next to each other, just like all these doors we just saw. For example, he sat in an adjacent room and waited, in the room next door and waited. And synonyms for adjacent are the words adjoining, neighboring, and nearby. So the next time you remember the picture of these doors, remember the word adjacent and what it means. And now for the next keyword, parasite. Now you look at the picture and you can see the fungi growing on the tree. And obviously, the fungi are taking their food and nurture from the tree itself. The tree might be generous and might be given it without question, but the idea is that the fungi have no right. But anyway, this is the way of nature. We have organisms that give food and life, and we have organisms that take food and life. How does that relate to the word parasite? Do you think parasites are the givers or the takers? Are they the tree or the fungi? Let's find out. A parasite is a countable noun. A parasite is a small animal or plant that lives on or inside a larger animal or plant and gets its food from it. So that was just like the way we saw the fungi on this tree. But parasite can also be used in a different context. If you disapprove of someone because you think that they get money or other things from other people but do not do anything in return, you can call them a parasite as well. And obviously this is a negative word that shows disapproval. So the next time you remember this picture of the fungi growing on a tree, remember the word parasite and what it means. And now for the next keyword, farce. Now you look at the picture and we have the famous symbol of drama. But how does that relate to the word farce? Is it a type of drama? Can we use it in other contexts? Let's find out. Now farce is a countable noun. A farce is a humorous play in which the characters become involved in complicated and unlikely situation. And that is obviously the dramatic definition of farce. But farce can also be used in different contexts. A farce is the style of acting and writing that is typical of farces. So it could be used also for the acting and writing styles. For example, the plot often borders on farce. And synonyms for farce are the words comedy, satire, slapstick, and burlesque. But here's a context where we can use farce in everyday language. If you describe a situation or event as a farce, you mean that it is so disorganized or ridiculous that you cannot take it seriously. And that is a negative word that shows our disapproval. For example, the elections have been reduced to a farce. They were so ridiculous that we can't take it seriously. So the next time you remember this picture that shows that famous symbol of drama, remember the word farce and what it means. And now for the last key word, pedestrian. Now you look at the picture and you can see all these people moving around in a city on foot. And what can we call these people? Can we call them pedestrians? Is that what pedestrian mean? Let's find out. A pedestrian is a countable noun. A pedestrian is a person who is walking, especially in a town or city, rather than traveling in a vehicle. For example, in Los Angeles, a pedestrian is a rare spectacle because people usually use their cars or other means of transportation, but they don't use their feet a lot. And synonyms for pedestrian are the words walker, foot traveler, or foot slogger. But we can use pedestrian in a different context that has a different meaning. If you describe something as pedestrian, you mean that it is ordinary and not at all interesting. And that is a negative word that shows our disapproval. For example, his style is so pedestrian that the book becomes a real bore. We're talking about a book that is not interesting at all, that is ordinary to the level of boredom. So, his style is so pedestrian. And synonyms for pedestrian in this context are the words dull, flat, ordinary, and boring. So the next time you remember this picture with all these people crossing the street, remember the word pedestrian and what it means. And that's all for this chapter.